Hi, today we will be learning about a really important topic and my favorite hobby, sleep. Did you know that we spend about a third of our lives asleep? That's a lot. That is about 26 years of our lifetime that we spend sleeping. Take a quick minute to think about how much you sleep every day. Do you get the recommended 8 hours, or do you get way more than that, indulging in naps along with your usual amount of nighttime sleep? Or, on the other hand, do you never fall asleep, instead choosing to be a night owl who does all of their work and playing at night? Once, a person in California stayed awake for 11 days straight, but this is a really bad habit, so don't try to do this at home. Now, before we get into all the science behind sleep, let's see how much you know about animals and sleep. Let's start with cats and dogs. Does anyone have a cat or a dog? Can you guess how many hours they sleep a day? I'm sure those were great guesses. They actually sleep for 15 hours per day. What about koalas? Does anyone know how many hours koalas sleep a day? They sleep for 22 hours. That means they're only awake for 2 hours each day. Giraffes, on the other hand, actually only need an hour and 10 minutes of sleep every day. They're the complete opposite of koalas. Last of all, how much do you think dolphins sleep? If you can believe it, dolphins sleep even less than giraffes do. They're actually never fully asleep because they breathe just like us. So in order to be able to come up for air, they only sleep with one half of their brain at a time. The other half of their brain is awake, allowing them to swim continuously. Similarly, even some birds can take a nap while gliding. Did you know that humans can die of sleep deprivation before we die of starvation? That means we need sleep more than we need to eat. There are so many reasons why our bodies need sleep, but today we'll only talk about a few. The first is energy. During sleep, our body temperature, heart rate, breathing rate, and energy use all decrease. There's an interesting hypothesis about this that sleep might have evolved to help us conserve energy and stay out of harm or away from predators. It is a life-sustaining activity, like eating. A survey conducted by the American Cancer Society concluded that people who sleep 6 hours or less per night, or who sleep 9 hours or more, had a death rate 30% higher than those who regularly slept 7 to 8 hours. In addition, anyone who sleeps less than 6 hours has a higher risk of depression, psychosis, stroke, and obesity. The next reason why we need sleep is for stronger bones and muscles. Research shows that lack of sleep in rats resulted in termination of bone formation. Lack of sleep can slow new bone growth and damage our cells, so if you want to be strong, make sure to get plenty of sleep. The next thing sleep does for us is repair and restoration. Sleep deprivation impairs our immune system and delays the wound healing process. The more you stay up, the more likely you are to get colds or bacterial infections. Sleep also helps to regulate our hormones. The sleep-wake cycle regulates many hormones. Sleep deprivation can also affect normal hormone levels. Hormones like growth hormone are secreted more during sleep, so long-term sleep deprivation can affect your growth. Not only does a good night's sleep make us more energized and have stronger bones and muscles, it also helps consolidate new memories. Some theories suggest that during dreaming, we process information that we acquired during the day. It is important to get a good night's sleep before a test to retain the information for long-term recall. So think about that before you pull an all-nighter trying to study for a test. You may do better by just getting some sleep. An experiment conducted by UCLA by Gina Poe, a neuroscientist, studied post-traumatic stress disorder in soldiers and suggested that they should remain awake for 6 to 8 hours before sleeping, because sleeping soon after a major event could turn their short-term bad memories into long-term experiences. The last thing sleep affects that we are going to discuss is mood and behavior. Lack of sleep can lead to an increased tendency for rage, fear, or depression. After many hours of sleep debt, the brain shows a slowing of metabolic activity. This means sleep deprivation increases possibilities for accidents. Now that we've talked about all the ways sleep can affect us and why it's so important, let's talk about some healthy sleep habits. Along with sleep, eating healthy can improve your brain function. Getting adequate vegetables, especially cruciferous ones, including broccoli, cabbage, and dark leafy greens, may help improve memory. Berries, especially dark ones such as blackberries, blueberries, and cherries, are a rich source of anthocyanins and other flavonoids that may boost memory function as well. To get the most out of sleep and do the most for your brain, you should try to sleep in a dark room. Sleeping in a dark room can help regulate your circadian rhythm, which is an internal clock that tells our bodies when to sleep, wake up, or eat. It is strongly regulated by the day-night cycle. Another reason you should try to sleep in a dark room is that human sleep is regulated by exposure to light or to darkness. Exposure to light stimulates a nerve pathway from the retina in the eye to an area in the brain called the hypothalamus. There, a special center called the suprachiasmatic nucleus initiates signals to other parts of the brain that control hormones, body temperature, and other functions that play a role in regulating our sleep. Darker rooms also help your brain to secrete melatonin, which is a hormone that makes us feel sleepy. However, you should try to avoid electronics at least an hour before you sleep, as studies have shown that being exposed to blue and white light given off phones, laptops, and other electronic gadgets at night prevents our brains from releasing melatonin. That means it takes us longer to fall asleep. Having a regular bedtime routine can also help to fall asleep easier. So make sure to try to set aside the time every night to get ready for bed and then sleep. Healthy sleeping habits are definitely very important, but for some people, just getting to sleep can be very difficult. Now, we're going to do a small activity where we practice a technique called paced breathing that has been proven to help people relax and fall asleep faster. First, start by closing your eyes and taking a normal breath in and out. Then, count to 4 as you take a deep breath by slowly breathing in through your nose. Let your chest and lower belly expand as you breathe in. Then, release your breath slowly through your mouth and count to about 5 seconds as you do this. If you feel your mind wandering, just refocus on counting as you inhale and exhale. Okay, let's try that one more time. Breathe in. Now breathe out. You can use this when you're lying in bed and want to fall asleep. Do as many cycles as you need. Now, let's switch gears to talk about some parts of the brain that are integral to our sleep. The suprachiasmatic nucleus, or SCN, initiates signals to other parts of the brain that control hormones, body temperature, and other functions that play a role in making us feel sleepy or wide awake. The thalamus is important for regulating arousal, level of awareness, and activity of our brain. The reticular formation is a structure that filters sensory information and controls what actually reaches our conscious attention. It is important in regulating alertness and consciousness during sleep. So, where are these things? Here, we see where each of these brain structures are. Thalamus being towards the back, the suprachiasmatic nucleus being towards the front of the brain, and the reticular formation in the brainstem. There are 4 stages to the sleep cycle. The first stage may only last a few minutes, and this is when the body is drifting off to sleep. As you'll notice by the brain waves, they are mostly high amplitude. The second stage involves the slowing of your heartbeat and breathing. The sleep you have here is deeper than in stage 1. Slow wave sleep continues with peaks of brain waves. Stage 2 can last up to 50 minutes. Our core temperature starts to drop and our awareness of our external environment disappears. Lastly, stages 3 and 4 are grouped together. Here, we will have our deepest sleep when the brain waves are slowest. During these stages, our breathing and heartbeat will slow even further and our muscles relax. Dreams are more common in these later stages than in the earlier stages. Sleepwalking and talking may also occur here. Have any of you heard of REM sleep? It stands for rapid eye movement. During this cycle, the heartbeat increases, breathing becomes shallow, your eyes move rapidly, your muscles are relaxed, and dreams are the most vivid. You remember dreams the most that you had in REM right before waking up. The next time you want to remember your dream, try writing it down in a journal as soon as you wake up. In non-REM sleep, there's decreased eye movement, and it makes up 80% of all human sleep. Interestingly, this stage is when night terrors and sleepwalking can occur. Research has shown that there are reasons why you dream. The first is a coping mechanism. During stressful situations, your dreams may reflect your inner turmoil. It can also be a way to process information and memory. Dreams might actually be your brain processing and organizing the conscious and unconscious stimuli it receives throughout the day. Lastly, it can be a method of wish fulfillment, reflecting your deepest desires or fears. Think about what you usually dream about. Is it magical, scary, exciting? These are all just a few feelings that can come up in our dreams. Now we're going to cover some interesting sleep disorders. The first is insomnia. This results in tiredness during the day, difficulty falling asleep. Some causes are significant life stress and other environmental factors can also have an effect. The treatment for this is sleeping pills or behavioral therapy. Narcolepsy is when a person experiences bouts of sleep during the day that are sudden and without warning. This is due to a lack of normal wakefulness signals to the cortex. Treatment includes behavioral changes that can help, including avoiding caffeine, nicotine, and alcohol in the late afternoon or evening. Regular exercise at least 3 hours before bedtime can also help alleviate symptoms. Sleep apnea is when the airway you breathe through collapses, so you wake up from a lack of oxygen. Symptoms are daytime drowsiness, increased irritability or depression, decreased concentration and work productivity. Treatments can be dental appliances that shift the jaw forward, expanding the airway and allowing oxygen to get through. Do any of you sleepwalk? Or maybe know someone who does? Sleepwalking is classified as parasomnia, which is abnormal behavior during sleep that's disruptive. Sleepwalking occurs during your deepest stages of sleep, stages 3 and 4, when the brain waves are very slow. At this point, the brain is triggered into partial arousal from deep sleep. This sleeping disorder is most common in children. Remember, this occurs during non-REM sleep, when your body repairs itself and releases hormones, including growth hormones. Children spend a lot of their time growing, so it's possible that the release of hormones has something to do with triggering arousal from sleep. Night terrors are when you are woken up by a nightmare with an extreme feeling of fear. Some common symptoms are rapid heart rate, inability to recognize others who are familiar to you, and feeling a need to punch or fight. There is often a lot of confusion in the person experiencing night terrors. Most people who have night terrors do not remember it the next day. In humans, babies need more sleep to allow enough time for brain development. As you get older, you need less sleep, but the average sleep time should be around 6 to 8 hours. Babies and children experience a larger portion of REM sleep than adults. Adults in school or undergoing intense intellectual training increase their amount of REM sleep. When people are deprived of REM sleep, they are less adept at creative problem solving. People who are under anesthesia or in a coma are often said to be asleep. However, people in these conditions cannot be awakened and do not produce the complex active brainwave patterns seen in normal sleep. Instead, their brainwaves are very slow and weak, sometimes all but undetectable. Always remember that sleep is very important and there are very, very real effects it can have on our brains. Don't forget about these healthy sleep habits that we learned, including eating lots of vegetables and berries, sleeping in a dark room, avoiding electronics before bed, and creating and maintaining a sleep schedule. And maybe one day you can sleep as peacefully as these baby animals do. Thank you so much from us at Interaxon at UCLA for coming on this learning journey today. If you enjoyed this video, please check out our website and YouTube, which can be found using the QR code below for other videos like this one. Have a great day.